Yeah, you live here, but we're on Discord because you still, even though you live in town, it's still like 45
You live 30
minutes
minutes away from me. I have the full capability to drive to your home and shoot this together, but we're doing it remotely.
Yeah. COVID conscious,
Exactly. COVID conscious.
Hold on, let me apply this chapstick real quick.
Nice.
Oh.
Slather.
Yeah, it's the best. So yeah, for those who don't know, this is Sean Kilgore. He is the homie. I've known. How long have we known each other now? Like probably close to 5 years now.
Close to 5 years.
Yeah,
for sure.
Sean taught me everything I know about editing, about videos.
Oh, whatever, man.
I knew some stuff before I met Sean, but Sean really tapped into my potential, man. He found what. Yeah, I don't know. He just made me better, I guess. I don't know.
You're too nice.
Yeah. I know.
You're like, yeah, I know. I actually hate you.
But so here's the thing, though. Sean also, you are a big fan of film and TV shows and stuff. A lot of our conversations are based around media.
Yes.
But we have a very different taste in
100%.
And there's some things we love, like we both love Lord of the Rings. We both love
totally
Breaking Bad.
Watched the Fellowship of the Ring extended edition the other night.
I
think it was actually 2 nights ago.
Awesome. Great.
Yep.
But other than that, we're pretty much at opposite ends. Like literally, whenever we went and saw the movie that we are talking about today, back to back trailers. One of them, you were like, that looks like garbage. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty excited about that one. And then the next one, we looked at each other, and I was like, that looks like garbage. And you were like, oh,
dude, I'm hyped.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm pretty hyped.
Man. What movies were those?
Don't Worry, Darling was the one I was excited for. And then
I remember now.
You were excited for Smile.
Yes, dude. I'm not excited for... let's clear the air about what I'm excited about and what I think is good. Because I don't think Smile is going to be an Oscar-winning movie. But I like movies like that because I laugh at them, and I think that's all they're made for.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. Just for the listener, you know how I am.
Yeah. So I want to ask a few questions before we start, just so people can get a sense of like what you like and
sure
everything, media wise.
Yeah.
So, I just opened Uber. Sorry.
Okay. All right, we're done here.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Uber's on the way. Okay. So what, if there's anything, what are you like? I know you just said you watched Fellowship of the Ring, but is there anything that you're like currently watching, any show or movie you recently watched that you want to talk about?
Okay, so I am rewatching Itaewon Class right now with
you're
my
rewatching.
girlfriend.
You're rewatching what?
Itaewon Class. You ever heard of it?
It sounds like an anime. Is it an anime?
It is not an anime.
Oh.
It's a Korean drama, and it is by far and away, I think, one of the only television shows that's had a deep emotional impact on me, and I felt like made me a better person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to check it out. What's it about?
Dude,
what's it about?
It's fantastic. Okay, so
I've never heard of this.
Spoiler free. It is a revenge story, but unlike any other revenge story you've ever seen. And I'll give you a plot synopsis from the first episode because it sets up the whole series. And there's 16-hour-long episodes, so it's pretty lengthy.
Yeah.
So this high schooler and his dad, it's like that's the whole family. Okay, single dad. He works for a restaurant business, like a food provider. They're the biggest in Korea, and he gets a huge promotion, and they move to a new city. And at this new school that his son goes to, the owner of the company's son goes to the same school, and he is the world's biggest jerk.
Gotcha.
Without swearing.
Relatable, you know?
Yes, he's a turd. He's a turd sandwich. And like the type of person that just like is the worst person. Just bully, like he's just picking on this kid in front of everyone, and because of how rich he is, people let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And the son just has a deep moral conviction, and so he punches the kid in the face, and he ends
Violence.
up
He chose violence.
and he pays the price. Now, because it was the owner of the company's son, and the owner of the company basically rules the whole town. You know, he's like a freaking mafia ringleader. He comes in and basically gives the kid a choice to bow down to his son and beg for forgiveness, or be expelled and not have a life.
Yeah.
And
Dang.
he chooses his moral convictions.
Dude, I love that stuff. I love like those moral.
Dude, and it's just like the score is phenomenal. The acting
when was it
is
made?
great.
What year was it?
Years ago. It was made. I think it was made in 2019. I might be wrong.
Oh dang!
But a friend of mine told me about it in 2020, and I watched the first few episodes. Absolutely loved it, and for some reason I fell out of it. And then I finished it this last year, and the last like 5 or 6 episodes, like every single episode, I was just in tears. Like,
where is
because
it on?
of
If people want to watch it, where's it at?
it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will add it to my list.
I would highly recommend this show. Like, what I didn't tell you anything about the show that would ruin anything.
Okay.
Like that happens in the first 30 minutes.
What you described sounds like. Have you ever seen High and Low? It's an Akira Kurosawa movie.
No.
Same.
Akira Kurosawa. That's the same guy who made the samurai movie that you gave me that I still haven't watched and want to.
Seven Samurai. It's a long one. Seven Samurai is a long one, but it's really good. But yeah, High and Low is very similar, like morality type thing, where it's a big business guy. He has tons of money, you know, super rich, big business guy, and he's about to, I think what it is he's about to like, with the money he has, he's going to like buy enough shares to become the like CEO of the company basically, or something like that. But then you're like, someone calls him and is like, hey, I kidnapped your son and I'm holding him for ransom for this much money. And he's like, oh.
Hey.
And so, of course, he's like, well, I'm going to pay this and get my son back. I don't care about my business. But then you find out that his son's fine because his son just comes into the room and is like, what's up? And the person actually took his, like, assistant's son on accident.
Yeah.
And so now he has the moral obligation of, like, do I pay the money to get my assistant's son back? Or do I become the richest man in the world or whatever?
Oh, geez.
And so it's a really good, and it turns like at the beginning, it's like a ticking clock, like thriller. And then halfway through it like switches to a police drama where you like get the like full police investigation of them trying to catch this dude.
That's
and it's
crazy.
really well done.
That's cool.
Very, very cool movie. So yeah, you should definitely peep that if that interests you at all.
You said it's called High and Low?
Yeah, High and Low. I don't know if it's anywhere for streaming, but I own it. I could let you borrow it.
Yeah, dude.
Super.
So I'm watching Itaewon Class. I watched Fellowship of the Ring the other day. And over the last couple of years, I have developed an affinity for 80s and 90s action heroes.
Yes.
And I kind of have a love affair with Steven Seagal movies.
Oh, yeah.
So I pretty much, every time that I'm working at night, or like I'm not playing a video game or hanging out with someone or being with my girlfriend or something like that, like I'll put on a Steven Seagal movie.
Under Siege, baby.
Under Siege. Above the Law.
Above the Law, baby.
Yeah.
So would you say Steven Seagal movies are your happy place movies?
Yeah.
That's your comfort. spot.
I would say, yeah, right now at least. It
Yeah.
changes, obviously. It's not like I've been like that
Yeah.
my whole life. But if I just sit down and like put a movie on in the background, typically it's gonna be something like a Steven Seagal
Yeah,
movie.
something
Or
you can kind of
like,
turn your brain off to and like get nothing
yes.
but it's literally nothing but entertainment value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same with like Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone too.
Yeah.
So like you want to know a deep cut from Bruce Willis is oh holy cow. I don't even know. Oh, The Last Boy Scout. You ever seen
Oh
that?
yeah.
With Damon Wayans?
Yeah.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. Man.
Have
I
you
can't
seen
believe you've seen that. I first heard about it like a couple years ago.
Have you seen Last Action Hero with
Of
Schwarzenegger?
course.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
That's one of my
Dude.
my buddy Chris showed me that one when we were in high school, and that one like is now one of my go-to. Turn that on just to like giggle
Absolutely,
and get
man.
entertained.
There's some good Schwarzenegger ones. You ever see Red Heat?
Oh yeah, with
Jim
Belushi.
Belushi?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one's crazy. I used to have that one on
dude.
Blu-ray.
I do have it on Blu-ray. Yeah, dude, I got into those in Sylvester Stallone. You seen Cliffhanger? Cliffhanger's
Yeah.
incredible.
Cliffhanger.
Over the
Stallone,
Top?
Over the Top. The arm wrestle movie.
Arm wrestling movie, dude. Heck yeah.
all
Cobra.
gold. Cobra's great.
Yeah.
Commando.
Where he eats the slice of pizza backwards.
Yeah.
Do you know that scene?
Yeah.
So
Demolition
fantastic.
Man.
Demolition Man. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Where
Absolutely,
Taco Bell
man.
is like the fanciest food on the planet.
You're not talking about today?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
According to my diet.
I'm the same way, dude. Come on.
So let me follow it up with this question.
Yeah.
If you out of only the movies that you've seen,
Mhm.
regardless of if you saw it at home or in a theater or whatever,
Yeah.
out of the movies you've seen in your entire life, which one would you pay like top dollar to go back in time and watch for the first time again?
That's like a really hard question
It is.
for me.
It wasn't meant to be easy.
Right. And I think there's few movies that I could say I've really had like an emotional impact like Itaewon Class on me. I think off the top of the dome, I'd probably go with seeing the original Matrix for the first time. That would be really cool
It's a good one.
to like relive that moment. And like,
Did you see it?
Yeah.
You saw it like
Oh yeah.
its original.
I saw it in
theatrical-
the theater.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. That's awesome. Dude.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Like
that's
being
sick.
in the theater to see that again in the late 90s and being absolutely amazed by Bullet Time,
Yeah. Just like,
which has been reproduced a million
whoa.
times by now. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. Just like slow motion.
Yeah.
Whoa. I think that would be really cool. And then the King's Speech had a huge emotional impact on me. Not that that's like everything with a movie, but like when I think about the experiences that I've had with movies, like that would probably be what I gravitate to. It's like
Yeah.
those movies that at that point in time, seeing that story, hearing that dialogue, understanding that character's emotions and resonating with that. Like the King's Speech was just so huge for me in the
Yeah.
season I saw it. Yeah. I feel like that would be
That's
a good
awesome.
one to experience.
I remember the King's Speech came out when I think I was in like middle school or junior high.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see it, but nobody,
Yeah.
of course, nobody my age wanted to go see it or whatever. And also,
Right.
it was rated R, and so I couldn't go in by myself. And then they
Mhm.
re-released it. They re-released a PG-13 movie where they literally just cut out the one scene where,
Or he's just cursing.
yeah, where he just says the F-bomb
Yeah.
a bunch. Same thing with like
Yeah.
planes, trains, and automobiles or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But that's the one thing I remember for that movie. I haven't seen it in years.
Dude, there's 2 scenes in that movie where I break down pretty much every time I see it.
Really?
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
that's
I
a
can
good
name
movie.
them right now.
That's a
Yeah.
good movie.
Absolutely. Colin Firth deserved every bit of that Oscar that he got, man.
Yeah.
He did win Best Actor for that, right? I'm
I-
not
I-
blowing smoke.
I'm
I'm
assuming.
pretty sure he did.
Let's do
That's
some
how
research.
I originally heard about it. Was him winning the Oscar for it. I'd never seen it, never heard about it. I guess I just wasn't big into the Oscar movies.
I do remember it swept.
Man.
I think it won Best Picture.
Yeah, and I was like, what freaking historical movie? I don't want to see that bull crap. I'm into movies like Smile.
Yeah.
No.
And a movie like
But
Smile.
after that, I remember.
Yes, he did win.
I think somebody told me about it, and I bought it for like, $2 or $3 or something like that. And I saw it alone at night, like the perfect time to see it. Like nothing
Candle
to do,
lit.
nowhere to go. Yes, candle lit.
Hot bowl of chili.
Hot bowl of chili. Absolutely. And yeah, man. Can we talk about those scenes? Because I kind of want to talk about them.
Yeah,
They're
talk about
fantastic.
Talk about them all you want. I mean, the movie's 12 years old, so.
Yeah. So the scene where, well, I'm going to spoil it for someone who hasn't seen it. No, don't care. All right.
Don't care.
It's 12 years old.
I don't care. It's 12 years old.
You had your chance.
Yeah.
So yeah, the scene where he sings with his therapist when Jeffrey Rush tells him to sing, because he can't talk about what happened to him when he was a kid, the trauma that he faced. And I think that part of his character, just in that moment, I mean, just anyone could relate to that. Like you have those moments from your childhood that you have such a hard time talking about, such a hard time putting words to.
Yeah, vocalizing.
And vocalizing. Well, in not just out loud, but to yourself. Mm-hmm. Like there's those pieces of your life where you feel that you can't explain, but you hurt so much, And I think just being there with him, just the way that movie's portrayed, how the shots flow, the editing is absolutely incredible. Composition, you feel like you're his character just for a second in that moment.
Yeah.
And for him to like have that breakthrough where he talks about being abused as a kid and finally vocalizing that for the very first time to someone is so, I'm getting emotional just thinking about
it,
dude.
It's just a very powerful moment. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's so powerful. And I remember seeing that and just like in that moment, just weeping, man. Like that was just so great, so huge. And then obviously the end of the movie, where he has this breakthrough moment where he does something he never felt like he could do in his life.
Yeah.
Like he legitimately felt like there was an insurmountable thing that he could never do. And all it took was a friend to just persuade him, just keep pressing him, keep growing him, keep giving him the opportunities and helping him through it and being there with him. And with his friend by his side, he finally, achieved what he felt like he couldn't. That whole scene is just so.
It's kind of like me and you.
I know, man. There it is. It's the story of me and you.
It's the story of Sean and Cody.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's.
Yeah. That movie's just so great, man. It has such a huge place.
I might have to rewatch it.
Top 3.
I haven't seen it in years. I need to rewatch it.
Top 3 all time.
Real
for sure.
Yeah. All right. Good acclaim.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I guess I'll give it a rewatch. I watched a movie today. Do you know the director Michael Mann?
Yeah.
I've been trying to watch the Michael Mann Cinematic Universe, the MMCU, if you will.
Okay.
I've been watching his movies because I want to do like a ranking video. And I watched a movie called The Insider today with Al Pacino and Russell Crowe. And I knew nothing about it going into it. I just knew it was like a thriller. And so I was expecting something like Collateral, like an action, guns and explosions things. It's not what it is at all.
Mm-hmm.
It is a thrilling courtroom drama
damn.
about big tobacco.
Jeez.
And it...
Really?
Yeah. And it was like... I literally put in my notes, like while I was watching it, I put in my notes that like no other director could have done this. Like if this script was in another director's hands, they would not have made it as good because the source material isn't thrilling, but somehow Michael Mann like kicked it into high gear and just made it like Al Pacino screaming over the phone at like tobacco companies, "You poisoning the people!" And dude, it was just so good. I had a great time with it. And
dude, talk about famous Al Pacino speeches. That sports movie that he did. Dude, the one where he plays the football coach.
Oh God, I don't remember.
You know what I'm talking about? I can't remember what it's called.
Al Pacino.
That's one of his best performances. And I haven't seen every Al Pacino movie. So but that's out of all the Al Pacino movies I've seen, that scene is absolutely incredible.
When is it like an older Pacino? Because I'm blanking. I have no clue.
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Jack and
Any
Jill.
given Sunday.
Oh, Any Given Sunday.
Any given Sunday.
Yes, I
There's
have.
a scene where like he gives a pep talk,
Yeah.
and it's like a halftime.
Yeah.
And I haven't even seen the movie, but I've seen that scene.
Al Pacino. Al Pacino is
Yes.
the king of monologues. Like
Dude.
he'll give you one heck of a monologue. There's a
And
monologue
rasp.
he gives.
Like his voice just carries character.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Have you seen Insomnia?
With
Yeah.
I have seen Insomnia.
Yeah,
Insomnia. That was
Christopher Nolan.
Was that Christopher Nolan?
Yeah. It's one of his
All
like lesser appreciated ones
Early.
because
Yeah.
it was early and also like it's his most like not ambitious movie. Like
Right. Well, and the source material like was already made.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a book?
Yeah, I think it's a Stephen King book.
It was a Stephen King book. Yeah.
But Robin Williams as the bad guy, like
Dude,
crushed it.
come on. Now, did you see the Robin Williams movie where he played the photo guy?
Yeah,
You
1
know
hour
what I'm talking
photo.
about? 1 hour photo.
With Sierra and
Dude,
Sierra and I watched that like last month or the month before, and
dude, there's some funny scenes in that movie, but that movie is terrifying.
dude,
too.
I watched it in like high school, and I remember I didn't remember a ton of it, and so Sierra and I watched
Yes.
it, and I was like, I remember it being kind of creepy.
Oh,
It
dude,
goes 0 to 100 like.
oh yeah, like when it just shows his house,
Yeah.
like and it shows the wall.
Uh,
Oh yeah,
I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable.
yeah. But there is some funny scenes in that movie that are unintentionally
Oh, yeah.
funny. Like in the beginning of the movie, the husband that's just a huge jerk.
yeah, just a
and he
huge
says he's
jerk.
working, and there's just a spinning chair on his screen, like he's working on a 3D model of a spinning chair.
Babe, I'm working.
I'm working so hard.
I'm working over here.
Then the scene where Robin Williams is daydreaming about being in their house,
Dude.
and it shows him taking a dump on their like in the
Yeah,
bathroom.
it just
with the
cuts
door
to him
open.
taking a dump. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And he's just like watching TV,
Yeah.
making a sandwich.
Yeah. And then laying on top of the bed with his hands flat,
Yeah.
just like this on the bed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gold.
yeah, dude. Yeah.
Well, so speaking of creepy movies, I guess we can go ahead and
Yes.
talk about the movie we're here to talk about. Last week?
Yeah, it was last week.
Last week, you and I went and saw the movie Barbarian in theaters. We went
Barbarian.
to a theater. Not
Yes.
very COVID conscious of us.
No, not very COVID conscious. But to be fair, there wasn't
There
very
wasn't
many
many
people,
people
in the
there.
theater.
It was a pretty empty
Yeah.
theater, but it was a great time. You took me to a theater first. Let's talk about the theater experience. You took me to a
Okay.
theater that I've never been to. It was just an AMC theater, but it was like a
Yeah.
small one.
Small.
Small.
Yeah.
Like what? Like 4 or 5 screens, maybe?
They have 6 screens.
6 screens.
Yeah.
Small.
Small, and it's not a dollar theater, and they renovated a dollar theater. That's why it's small.
Yeah. And I loved it because there was nobody there.
Yes.
It was quiet. It was clean. It was so clean. So clean. And the seats.
very much unlike the other AMCs.
Yeah. It was like
Yeah.
the seats were all recliners. They were fresh. They felt
Heated.
heated. They felt clean. And I was like, yeah, I'm here for this.
Yeah.
I don't care that it was 45 minutes away. I'll drive. I'll do it every time.
Dude, that's how I was with the Dolby at Quail.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. But so great theater experience. 1. I will say this about this movie, which we'll get into the movie here in a second because I know a lot of people
Yeah.
don't know about it. But I will say if you are a fan of horror movies, this is one that you should see in a theater.
100%. And not just like, there's different types of horror fans.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a horror movie for any horror
Any
fan.
any horror fan is gonna like this
Yeah.
movie. Like
There's little bits from every type of horror movie.
yes, they do a lot. Even like the average
Yeah.
movie goer who's like, I want to go see I'll go see something spooky, and then they
Yeah.
go see. They're gonna like it because it's got some
Right.
genuinely chilling moments. And then even
Yeah.
the more like pretentious, like I only watch The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is the scariest movie I've ever seen.
The Lighthouse and Hereditary.
Yeah.
As
They'll
you're
like
sipping
it.
your Earl Grey tea with your pinky
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, but for the people who don't know, who are like, I've never heard of this movie. I didn't even know this movie was in theaters. Barbarian is the story of a woman who goes to Detroit for a job interview, and she rents an Airbnb. She gets there late at night during a storm, and she shows up, and oops, the Airbnb has been double booked. There's a random dude in this Airbnb. And so, against her better judgment, she decides to stay there with him, and things ensue.
That's
and
a good description.
that's
That is not what the movie is. You
yeah,
know?
that's the only
Yeah.
thing I can say without like
That's all you need to
spoiling
know.
a ton. So we'll
Right.
give like a quick, brief little like non-spoiler what we thought of the movie, and then
Yeah.
we'll get into the muck of it.
Right.
So
No spoil zone.
Yeah, no spoil zone for now. So hit me with your what you were expecting, and then how
Okay.
you felt when you were leaving or while you were watching it.
Yeah. I personally, when I saw the trailer, if you're on the train of not knowing what it is, I would encourage you to go watch it real quick, because it's
a good trailer. It does.
It's a good trailer because I feel like even the trailer is kind of indicative of the story. When I saw it, I kind of got the vibe that it was like all the other scary movies that I enjoy. And like we said in the beginning, like me and you are different moviegoers.
Yeah.
You know, when I saw it, I kind of got the vibe that it was like a comedy, you know, like go have a good time scary movie with your friends.
Yeah.
And not like a very serious, like in-depth story that has some meaning with characters that are well written and, you know, like good cinematography type stuff.
Yeah.
You know? So I went into it expecting to have like a funny and good time, you know? But I think that, you know, my spoiler-free review would go to say that it delivered everything, you know, that I saw in the trailer and then surprised me.
Yeah.
Which I think is so unique for a movie. Like in general, like I think today, like and even back then, you know, maybe it's because I'm older, you know, I've seen more stories, you know, the older that I get, and I realize the way that trailers go now in a way that I didn't 20 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like nowadays trailers, they just tell you way too much.
Yeah, they give you the
know?
whole movie.
Well, even if they don't give you the whole movie, they give you a good idea.
Yeah.
You know,
This
of
one-
exactly what you're getting into.
The trailer in this one for Barbarian does the like here's the setup, but there's more to be discovered. And so you go
Right.
in with the idea of like, okay, there's something else going on here. Like we need to figure out what
Right.
that is.
Exactly.
And then whenever it shows you what else is going on, it is the last thing you were thinking of. Like it was
Right.
you're like, oh, like you and I both,
Right.
our jaws were dropped. We were just like,
Oh, totally, dude. Yeah.
it is
And
a
I think
huge reveal.
what's so unique, and like even what's crazy about today too, like not getting sidetracked, making a point out of this, like trailers nowadays, they can release trailer number 1, and like trailer number 1 is everything a trailer should be.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't
Even a
reveal
teaser
the
trailer.
plot line. Yeah, like this is exactly what a trailer should be. And then trailer number 2 drops a week before the movie comes out, and it like tells you everything about the movie to try and just reel in, you know, 10% more income or whatever it is. I'm guessing that's what it is.
No, it's a marketing strategy for sure.
Right. But this movie, it's almost like if you envision a plot, like from beginning to end, like there's a big hill. Like this literally gives you one step.
Yeah.
The trailer just gives you one
Trailer gives
step.
you the first step, I would say, to a movie that has
Yes.
like 3 hills.
Exactly, dude. Like, and that's another amazing thing about this story too, that's spoiler free. Like there are so many 180 turns.
Yeah.
Like just hard turn.
This I wouldn't
Like
say is
it doesn't lead you into it at all. It's just like whiplash.
Yeah.
Like holy
in a
crap,
good way.
dude.
Not like whiplash like they
yeah.
didn't know what to do with the script. Like
Exactly.
the script is so well written and
Yeah.
thought out. Because when it basically jumps like every act, like the 3-act structure, something switches, and it gives you whiplash where you're like, okay, wait, what's happening now?
Right.
And
And
then,
it's not
and it
done.
doesn't give you like
Mhm.
it gives you time to
Yeah.
breathe too. Like it will switch and you're like, what? And then it's like, hold
Right.
on.
And it's well, and what's great about it too is like there are stories where like they'll do a turn like that, and you're like, who the F is this guy?
Yeah, you're like, wow.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's not like that.
Mm-mm.
Where like for maybe like a split second, like you feel that like sudden, holy crap, dude, this story's taking a hard turn, and then
Yeah.
like it reels you in to like this character's story immediately. You know?
So it does.
It's well done.
I
yeah.
think that first initial switch is perfect in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it gives you one a huge cliffhanger where you're like,
Right.
what? And then it
Right.
just takes you back and you're like, it jerks you out of your seat, like takes you all the way back to basically the beginning. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, you don't know where you are, you don't know who the people is that you're watching.
Yeah.
And then it gave you right before the switch, it gave you just as much information as you needed. And you're just like,
Yeah.
And so you have that nugget of like what might be going on, and then it just gives you more and more and more and more and more.
Right.
And it's so well written. And what's crazy too is the writer and director of this movie. Hold on, let me pull it back up real quick.
You're about to educate me. I don't know
A little
anything
bit
about them.
A little bit. So I didn't know anything about them either. I just saw the name.
Yeah.
I didn't do research before we saw it. I just saw the trailer and was like, I'll peep it. I knew Bill Skarsgård was in it and Justin Long was in it, and I was like, I'm in.
Oh yeah, just that was me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård, Justin Long in a scary movie.
Jeepers Creepers? What do we?
Come on.
And so I was like, heck yeah. So I saw the dude's name in the end credits or whatever. So then of course I go home, I get on IMDb, and I'm like, who the heck is Zach Cregger? That's his name, Zach Cregger. He wrote and directed this thing, so it's like all him.
Wait, I've heard that name before.
So I go and click on it.
Did you have something to do with it?
Did
he?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't think so.
I'm just speaking out my butt.
Did you ever?
Please continue.
Have you ever heard of a comedy group called The Whitest Kids You Know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like one of the main dudes from The Whitest Kids You Know.
What?
I grew up watching that group, and they really formed my sense of humor growing up. And so he's got like a huge comedy background. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, dude, that makes sense. I was like, it makes so much sense because there's some really good comedic bits in this movie that like cut through the scares like perfectly.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
not movies like Smile though, where it's like meant to be stupid, ridiculous, dumb, funny.
It is like
these are well written jokes.
I would say it's like the equivalent of like Willem Dafoe's farts in The Lighthouse. It's like perfectly placed into the script, and like all the Justin Long stuff where we'll get into that whenever we talk spoilers. But Justin Long has some genius bits where like you and I were like chuckling in the movie, and then then boom, we're back in the scares, and you're like, oh my god,
dude. And that would bring me to this point. Like it's not just like the funny moments, like the editing and like breaking the wall with an audience member is, I think, just so well done too. And the one scene that I'll say that is no spoiler, like there's a specific scene, and you'll find this in any scary movie, where you're just like, F no, dude, I'm not gonna do that. And then legitimately you think this character says it. Yeah. And you're like, literally it happened, me and Cody both looked at each other. It was it was perfect, man. It was like just such a good movie to see with a friend, man. Yeah. Like the writing was good, the editing, cinematography, like it's just perfect.
When this comes out, like I'm copping a physical copy. I'm getting a Blu-ray or whatever. And I'm inviting friends over and we're watching it. So I'll tell you. So Sierra and I, we watch movies together and stuff. But sometimes, you know, if it's something that I know she's not going to care about, or I know that she won't like, I'll just give her the Cody rundown, where I just literally tell her the whole movie. Like I'll just like go scene by scene and explain it to her, because she likes that better than sitting down and watching it for 2.5 hours. And I did that with this whenever I got home, and she was like, just me telling it was like on the edge of her seat. She was like, so wait, what? She was like, does this happen? I'm like,
Yeah.
no. I'm like, that's not what you would think.
Oh, nay.
You would think that's what would happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll
Yeah.
definitely have like friends over and watch this movie because it's insane. This is gonna be
Oh,
one of
yeah.
those. Definitely, if this came out while I was like in college, it would have been the movie, like the Halloween movie
Oh,
go to, because
absolutely, man.
it's so good. Okay, so we're at 35 minutes, which I think is a good place to.
Wait, we gotta give ratings before.
Oh
we
yeah,
go
let's give
spoiler.
our ratings before we go into spoilers.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first.
Okay, I want to rate it out of 10. I don't know if you're like a
I
five.
go out
type
of
guy.
5 normally, but you can go by 10.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go by 10. I would definitely give this an 8 out of 10. And like I feel like that's not like super generous. Like it's well deserving
Oh
of
yeah,
that
no.
8 out of 10.
No.
But I feel like 4 out of 5 is too much.
Oh,
Is that
I gave it 4 out
you
of
f-
5.
okay?
I gave it 4 out of
All
5,
right,
which is
that's
the
cool.
equivalent in my book of like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, well, it is
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly.
But I think just for me saying 4 out of 5 feels
Yeah,
a little too much.
exactly.
But I think just in my mind I have this mental block with giving a horror movie that
that
much,
high
unless
of
it's
praise.
something that's just like
Yeah.
Hereditary or something
Yeah.
like that, where it just like that blew me away.
Yeah.
You know.
Um,
But,
I gave it
from
a-
an art perspective.
I gave it a 4 out of
Yeah.
5 because
Yeah.
it to be honest, for me it would have been perfect if it weren't for like a few things with the ending. There was like a few
Yeah.
things about the ending where I was like, all right,
Yeah.
like I get this is probably all they were able to do, but I was like, like I didn't love some of the things about the ending, which we'll get into. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
overall, fantastic movie. If you like horror movies, even if you don't, like I think it's a good. I would say it's even a good like introductory into like
Yeah.
some scares because it's not demon possession. It's not jump scares every 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like good horror that like gets a thrill out of you and gets your heart rate going. And like I
Yeah.
went to the movie with a hat on, and the whole time I was like watching it under the brim of my hat, like just like whoa, just like peeping the screen every now and then.
Yeah.
Watching it through my eyebrows, just like
Yeah.
because it's got some like tense, like some suspense builds,
Yeah.
and yeah. Okay, so I think we should go ahead and hit the audience with a spoiler warning. From here on out,
Spoil zone.
we are in the spoil zone. No girls allowed.
No
we're,
girls allowed.
we're
in-
spoiling ourselves over here.
All right.
Um,
We're in the spoil zone.
Yeah, so we'll start by just giving the big. I'll explain the big like reveal.
Yeah.
The first big one. So the thing, it's all set up to make you feel like Bill Skarsgård, the other dude in this Airbnb, is like going to kidnap this woman. Like that's the setup. That's what you're supposed to be feeling the whole time.
Right.
And they do a great job of that by how creepy he is, unintentionally.
100%.
How unintentionally
like
creepy
he's just
he
an
is
odd dude.
when he keeps like offering her things to drink. And that's
Yeah.
what I thought was genius about it, because it's like he's just being nice, but like in the world we live in
Yeah.
today, it's considered creepy when he's just like, "Do you want soup? I could make you soup. You want a glass of wine? I could make you wine."
He's
or whatever."
socially awkward. Like
Yeah.
he's not there. Yeah.
And she's like, "No, I'm okay," because creepy dude or
Right.
whatever. The circumstance is
Right.
creepy. And he's even like,
He's
"I
like
promise."
the-
He's like, "I promise, I'm not trying to like, I'm not gonna drug you or anything."
Right. He's the personification of someone who's just digging themselves in a hole.
Yeah.
And almost everything that he says, it's like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then like that first night that they're there, she's sleeping in the room, he's sleeping on the couch. She shuts the door, like shuts the bedroom door, and then like in the middle of the
Yeah.
night, the door opens up and she wakes up. And she's like, "He opened my door," And that's what you're thinking too. You're like, "Oh my God, creep, he opened the door." But he's just still
Yeah.
asleep on the couch. He's like having a nightmare or something. And she wakes him up and he's like, "I didn't open your door," whatever, blah, blah, blah. So then she goes back, shuts it, locks it, everything. And so this whole time you're just like, Bill Skarsgård, he played that creepy clown. Now he's going to be a...
Dude, I'm going to be honest. Like, I think that's where the movie took a really hard turn for me.
Really?
Like, that's one of those hard turns from the trailer, because in the trailer, you see that Like you see her get up and out of the room, but you don't see Bill Skarsgård having a nightmare.
Yeah.
You don't see him on the couch. And in the movie, that's what happens. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. So what opened the door?
Well, like obviously something else opened the door, but like this whole time, yeah, like you're led on to feel like Bill Skarsgård had something to do with it. But that very first scene when that happens, when she wakes up and he's obviously having a nightmare, like in the middle of it, that for me, like I was like, dude, like something's off here because this is not what the trailer said. You know, like this is not what happened to the trailer, not PC, man.
So next day or whatever, she goes to her job interview. Bill Skarsgård goes to wherever he's going. At the end of her interview, or actually whenever she walks out of the house that morning, she gets this is one of the like great pieces of camera work that I loved, because in the first time that night, whenever she shows up to the Airbnb, it's like pouring down rain, it's dark, she's standing on the porch, and the camera does a full pan of the street that the house is on, like from her point of view on the porch, and it's pitch black, like you can't see anything except like what the light from the porch is touching, like in the front yard.
And believable.
It looks like like what it would look like with your own eyes. Very well done. And then it does the exact same shot the next morning in daylight, and you see that the neighborhood that she's in is like dilapidated houses. Everything's like abandoned, and the only house standing is like the house that she's in.
Right.
And so she goes to her job interview, crushes the job interview. It's awesome. And the lady's like, so where are you staying? She's like, oh, I got an Airbnb over in this part of town. And that lady immediately is like, oh, you shouldn't be there. Like, that's a sketchy
like
part of
big
town.
Eyes. Like,
she's like, you should not be staying there. And so, of course, you're like, uh-oh, like, whoops.
Yeah. Like, you knew that was coming.
That was like,
she was about to say that.
Like,
but like,
in my opinion, that's where I was like, okay, I'll go pack my bags and I will leave. Like,
dude, I'm getting out of it. I'm getting out of here, man. But dude, this is where it plays into the funny movie scary tropes. Because she's like, oh no, you know, it's all right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go back and everything's going to be fine because this other guy's with me.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And then she gets back and
I'm just going to go take a shower by myself, you know, upstairs.
Exactly.
That kind of deal.
And then whenever she gets back to the house and like is walking to the door, that homeless dude chases after her. Yes. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she runs in, which we then find out later that the homeless dude was trying to help her. Which, you know, says that's probably like some secret message in there about like how we treat homeless people or something. They're not all creeps, you know, some of them are trying to help us.
Some good ones out there.
And then so that day, so she's there by herself and she's checking out the house, whatever, and this is where she finds the basement, and the basement door shuts by itself, and it locks from the inside or from the outside, and so she can't get out. She's stuck in the basement until Bill Skarsgård gets back home. So she's just chilling out, whatever, looking at all the stuff. There's a bunch of antiques, whatever. And then she finds a rope in the wall. As she like moves one of the antiques, she finds a rope hanging out of the wall. She pulls the rope like anyone would. I would. I was like, yeah, I'd pull that rope. I'd see where that goes. And it opens up a little secret door. So that's where you start going like, nope. Because that's when she says it. That's what you were talking about, right? Where like, she looks down.
Oh, yeah. Like me and you both, like,
we were like,
we both were like, F no.
Yeah.
And
like,
then she legitimately, like, it cuts to a shot right in front of her face.
Yeah. And she's like,
it's almost just like the director's telling you, we know you're thinking this. And then she says it and, like, almost breaks the fourth wall, but doesn't.
She's like,
you know,
nope. But then, like most people, her curiosity gets the best of her. And she does something that I thought was smart. Like because at first I was like, what is she doing? And then I pieced it together. With the mirror. She picks up a mirror and then like shines the light down the hall to like see what's down there. I was like, oh, that's smart. Instead of just going down into a dark hall. Well, something catches the light and she's like, what is that? And so she goes down to investigate, and it's a doorknob. And she opens up the door and there's a light switch in there. She turns on the light switch and there is a dirty, disgusting mattress, a bucket, and a video camera on a tripod.
And a bloody
handprint. And so immediately you're like, nope.
Getting out of here.
So my brain goes, Bill Skarsgård's about to capture this woman and keep her in this basement and do whatever.
Yeah, like in that moment, you're ready for the camera to pan and the door to close with her in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so she's like, nope, getting out of here. So she takes off running. She's in the basement, like freaking out. And then Bill Skarsgård comes home. And she's like, oh my God, help me, get me out of the basement, whatever. So they get her out of the basement.
Yeah.
And she's like, we have to get out of here. And he's like, what are you talking about? Calm down, calm down, calm down. She's like, we have to go, we have to go, we have to go, we have to go. He's like, no. What are you talking about? Because he, like, what we don't know is that he's like, wait, but I thought we had a great night last night. Why can't we keep this going? I really like you, kind of thing. But the way that it's played out makes it seem like he's like, nah, hold on. Like, what's got you spooked?
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing can
And she's
be
like,
that
there's
bad.
a room down there with a bucket. And he's like, a room with a bucket? He's like, I need to see this for myself. And she's like, no, don't go down there. And he's like,
right.
You wait up here in case the door locks. And he's like, I'm going to go down and check it out. And she's like, okay. So he goes down there. And then a few seconds go by. We don't hear anything. And then she's like, I forgot what his name is in the movie. Keith.
I forgot
Keith.
too.
It's Keith.
Yeah.
She's like, Keith. And she doesn't, and like, you don't hear anything. And so we're like, he's being quiet so that she'll go down there and then he can grab her or whatever. Yeah. So she's like, Keith. And she's sneaking down. She puts a chair at the basement door so it doesn't shut on itself anymore.
Right.
Goes down, shines a light. She has her phone now. Puts her phone flashlight down the hall. You see the room, the light coming from the room with the bed and everything. She's like, Keith, this isn't funny. Like, stop messing with me. Goes down there and there's no one there. There's no one in the room. And you're like, what? That was where I was like, oh, hold on. Where's Keith?
Yeah.
I was like, Keith.
What's going on here?
I was like, Keith should be there.
Right.
That's where we find.
I think even up to this point, though, like you're still led to believe
like Keith is
suspicious.
Keith is very suspicious. And then that's where we find door number 2. Another door that has a long, deep stairwell that just goes down into like the abyss. Yeah. She opens it up.
And dude, can I say this too?
Yes.
Score in that moment. The way you said long, like legitimately the score when she opens up that door is a bass drop, like legitimately, like it's so well done. Yeah. It's just perfect.
Yeah. That's a whole nother thing. The score for this movie I thought was really good.
Totally.
It's just the dankest, gross stairwell that leads to like nothing. And you're just like, oh God, like it literally something.
It looks like the stairway to a dungeon.
It's straight up nightmare fuel. Like it looks like something pulled. That's what I texted you after the movie was like, the whole movie just felt like they pulled everything from my nightmares and like put it into a movie. And so she, of course, she's like, Keith. And props to the sound designer on this. You hear the faintest, like it is the quietest, furthest away, like, help me. But it's so far that like, you're like, oh my God. So she starts walking down. Keith, help me. Keith, help me. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. She gets to the bottom.
Metric football field away.
Yeah. She gets to the bottom of the stairs and there's a turn. And so she does. This is another thing I thought was smart because instead of someone just like, oh, look, it turns. She like has to hype herself up to like turn and look. Like she's just like, turns and looks. And that's where you think there's going to be a jump. No jump. There's just more hallway. It's just like
long hallway.
Just another long hallway. And you and I are like, no.
Like, absolutely not. Forget about Keith and go backwards.
Keith's trying to snatch you. Like, get out of there.
Dude, can I relate it back to that one more time? Like, in scary movies where like you just want to laugh at it. Like these scenes happen and your relationship with the character is just like, it's laughable. Like, I don't care about this guy. Like, he made this dumb decision. This whole time, like, she's going down there and you don't want her to do it, but God, you feel for her so much.
You feel for her because she's like, dude. I like Keith. I want to save Keith. And so she's walking down this hall. Yeah. She passes like a little section where there's like cages with like food bowls in them, and she's like, "What the heck?" And like keeps walking. All of a
Oh,
sudden,
yes. I forgot about that.
boom, Keith comes out of the darkness. Kind of scares you a little
like
bit.
crawling.
He's like, we have to go. He's like, we have to go. And she's like, okay, the stairs are this way.
Frantic.
She's like,
yeah.
he's frantically like, he says something bit me. And that's where I was
and
like, yeah. I was like, excuse me? So she's like, okay, the stairs are this way. The exit's over here. And he says, no, it went that way. We need to go this way. And we're like, what went that way? Like, you're so confused in this moment. Frantically, whatever. And so they're kind of back and forth, like overlapping arguments of like this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. And while that's happening, this thing, this like,
is that what we're going to call it?
We're going to call it this thing. It is like a 7-foot tall naked witch woman, comes out of the darkness screaming,
right?
Grabs Keith and just bashes his brains into the wall and kills him.
Oh yeah. Like picks him up from the back of the head and the camera is like following his face into the freaking wall, like American History X on steroids.
You and I both,
like straight into it.
You and I both were like grabbing each other, jaws dropped of just like, just pure shock and terror of just
well, just like we said, like up until that moment, like you are led to believe
you're like, oh, Keith is the bad guy.
Is a part of the problem. Yes.
No, dude, you rip just Keith is out of there.
This is like another one of those fourth wall things. Like the close-up shot on her face when she says F no, the close-up shot, it's like the same distance on Keith's face as his face is being bashed in. It's almost just like, yeah, we told you so.
Is your mind exploding?
Yeah, exactly. Just about as much as Keith's is.
Yeah, dude. So then the banshee witch woman screams at the top of her lungs. You get a very small glimpse of it, and then cut to black, and then there's like a second of black, and then boom, cuts back in. We are in sunny California. We're at the beach. Like, it is the biggest like 180.
Huge 180, man.
We are at the beach. Yes. Beach Boys playing in the background, or whatever song he's singing. Justin Long's in a convertible. He's like singing, having a good time. We're like, because we're still trying to process what we just saw. And it's just like, and
yeah, dude.
And
it's so funny.
So yeah, this is where we get introduced to Justin Long's character. I will give a brief rundown of what happens with his character to get us caught up to like why he's important. So basically, he's an actor in Hollywood, not a well-known one. He just shot a pilot that's about to get picked up by some big studio, but he gets a phone call.
But he is successful.
He's pretty successful.
Yeah, in the limelight.
He gets a phone call from his agent or whoever, and they're like, I'm here with the studio, so-and-so, which is, I forgot what the name is, but a girl.
Like his co-star.
His co-star in the pilot came out and said that he sexually assaulted her, and the studio's pulling the pilot, or they're going to continue with the pilot, but he's not going to be a part of it. There was an article coming out the next day, and basically we see this man's career get ruined because of like this woman who said, basically it's like, he got canceled because he sexually assaulted this woman. And so it does this like thing throughout this where you're kind of like, he's like, she's lying, and you're like,
well, can I say this too? They do a really amazing job at giving you a piece of what this character is.
Oh yeah.
But without you seeing the full intentions. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the same way that you feel about Keith.
Yeah.
Like you end up kind of like, once you find out that he's not a bad guy, like his character is kind of endearing.
Yeah. His character changes.
Justin Long's character is not endearing.
Justin Long's character is not endearing. So yeah.
But you see him like experiencing this and you almost feel bad for him. You're like, man, nobody deserves to lose their life. This seems like a good guy. Like he just had something great happen, and like
he's on the top of the world right now. Like who knows? Like you are with him, and you're like, and he says like, this lady's lying. So like, as much as you know about him, you're like, yeah, she could be lying, and you don't know. So there is that like morality issue going on while you're watching it.
Yeah, and it's almost like the studio that he's talking to is kind of like blackballing him. They're not listening to him. Like he doesn't have a side of the story
Not giving him a
to
chance.
them, and he's like, his character is so like is so startled by it
Yeah.
that he's not really given a chance to even like
Exactly.
comprehend.
So he goes
what to say.
So he goes to his financial advisor, and his financial advisor's like, "Hey, since you're not going to be you're never going to get a job again because of this. Like, here's where you're
Yeah.
at. You're going to be broke within like 5 months." And he's like, "Well, what if I got rid of all my property in Michigan?" And that's your first little like inkling of like, oh, property in Michigan, you say?
Right.
And his financial advisor's like, well, what's really bleeding you dry is your property here in California. You should sell that and then go back to Michigan. Go like live in Michigan for a while. And so that's what he does. He goes back, and this is where you find out that he owns a property management company that one of the properties is that Airbnb that we saw in the first act of the movie where everything went down. And so then, as far as I was concerned, I was like, oh, Justin Long's doing some creepy stuff in this basement. I was like, maybe he did do this to this woman because like maybe he's been doing some creepy stuff down there or whatever.
See, I didn't get that inkling at all.
Really?
But then again, I had to go to the bathroom when he was at his financial advisor's place.
You did go to the bathroom at that point.
I missed about 30 seconds or 45 seconds.
Well, then there's a very important scene that happens. It is a quick scene, but it is very important where you get to know everything you need to know about Justin Long's character.
Is that when he goes to the bar with his friend?
Yes. So he's in the bathroom at the Airbnb, and he's on the phone with his mom, and his mom is like, "Well, we like, honey, like, what are we supposed to tell our friends about this? Like, whenever they read the paper, what do we?" And he's like, "Well, you just tell her that she's lying because like I didn't do it and all this, whatever, blah blah blah." And she's like, "So you're in Michigan?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm back in town." And she's like, "Well, will we get to see you?" And then he gets another phone call. And he's like, "Hold on, I got a business call. I'll let you go." And she's like, "Okay, bye. I love." And then like he ends the phone call before she can say it.
Right.
And then he answers the phone, and you're expecting a business phone call, but it's just his buddy. And he's like, "Hey man, I'm back in town. Let's go hit up a bar."
Right.
And so he like cuts off his mom to just like go hang out with his buddy. Doucher move.
It is totally a doucher move.
And then he goes to the bar, and then at the bar, it is a very simple scene. This is like, I thought this was very well done. It is
you learn everything about
everything
his
you need to know in one camera shot.
Sentence.
The camera is static, and it is just on him while his buddies, they're like dancing and drinking beer, and his friend's like, "So like, what happened? Like, did you do it?" And he's like, "Well," basically like confesses to like sexually assaulting this woman.
That's for me is when his character shifted.
Yeah, and you're like,
because like up until that point, even when he's talking to his mom to me,
Yeah.
like I've never lied to my mom like that on the phone.
Mhm.
Oh, I got a business call, and
Yeah.
like totally whatever.
but he's got a lot
like,
on his plate, and you're like,
he's got a lot on his plate, dude. Like you kind of, it's like whatever. Then this moment is like,
you're
dude,
like,
this guy's
he's
just
slimy.
a total butthole.
He's It's not even that he's a butthole. It's just he's the quintessential just like guy who does wrong but doesn't know he's doing wrong. Like he thinks he's
right.
He thinks
rightfully canceled.
Yeah.
Well, at least for that. Yeah.
He thinks like
she was telling the truth.
Yeah, he's like he thinks that she was like, because the way that he phrases it is he's like, it took some convincing. Like when it came to this woman, he's like, it just took her some convincing, but then she was in like whatever, when like we know that's not the truth.
Convincing is a very
very
loaded word.
Exactly. Very vague. And so anyways, so right then you learn everything you need to know about his character. He's just some douchey frat guy who like frat-esque guy who just sees women like whatever and only cares about money and power and whatever. So he gets back to this Airbnb and we forgot about the part where their stuff is still there. Like Bill Skarsgård and the main chick, their stuff is all still there. And he's like, "What the heck?" He's like, "Is somebody staying here?" So he's like, "Hello?" So he calls his manager, the property manager, and he was like, "Hey, is somebody staying here?" And she's like, "No, not that we have on our whatever." And he's like, "Well, all of their stuff's here. Do you guys not have maids come clean it?" And they're like, "Well, we only send the maids before someone's about to stay there, and nobody has stayed there for 5 weeks. So that's where you realize it's been 5 weeks since we saw Bill Skarsgård get his head bashed in. And you're like, oh, time has passed? You're like, oh,
dude,
my gosh.
And like the with how they tell the time too, like you're like, there's no way they're alive.
Yeah. You're like, oh.
Well, you knew that Keith
Bill
wasn't alive.
Keith's out of there. But you're
Keith
like, oh,
this
main chick's dead.
Yeah, she's gone.
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah, the way he finds the basement, we'll just fast forward. The way he finds the basement is because he's trying to measure the square footage of this house to sell it.
Dude, this is where it got
funny. This is where it got funny.
This is where it brings in
the humor to cut through. Is because he
100%.
He opens up that secret door and he's like, whoa. And then it cuts to him on Google, like, does a secret dungeon add square footage to your your property or whatever?
And you know what I'm realizing now? Up until that point, you do not see that side of his character.
Yeah, no.
It's like the bar scene onwards. So like you're kind of led to believe this dude's down on his luck, like he's telling the truth, and like,
now he's just like
wrongfully convicted.
Yeah.
And now he's total doucher mode, and like he absolutely, deserves what he's getting because he did commit a crime.
Exactly.
And then he goes down to the basement. He's measuring. He's like, "Whoa, no way!"
Yeah, he sees the room that has like the dirty mattress and the bloody handprint and the bucket. He's like scooting them out of the way so that he can measure.
Justin Long's Excellent Adventure, dude, just going through the basement.
And then he finds the second door to the stairs, and he's like, "Jackpot!" And he's like measuring the stairs, just like, and then he's going down the hall, and then he sees the little divot with like all the cages, and he's scooting those out of the way, and he's like, "Oh, okay, 12 feet, whatever." And then he keeps going down the hall.
Oh, dude, and you're forgetting, like, he's looking up on his phone, like, do hallways in the basement measure,
He's like, how much square footage, whatever. And it's not even like, yes, he's like, there is a chance. And he's like, and he's just down there measuring. And then that's where he gets down the hallway where he finds the pink room.
You see what's living down there.
Yeah. So the pink room is another thing pulled from my nightmares. It is
absolutely.
And to his character, he's like, this is weird. But like to us, we were like, oh, no. It's just,
if you weren't all like that already.
Yeah. It's a room that's like got pink lights. It's very like girly pink wallpaper, whatever, but it's like all dirty and grungy. And there's like sleeping bags and blankets all over the floor. There's like a bunk bed.
It looks like feces has been like
it's just
rubbed
like
everywhere.
Gross.
Like
there's a tiny little like TV VCR combo. Yeah. And it's playing a video of like it's like how to breastfeed your baby, and it's like a woman breastfeeding a baby, and it's like an instructional video for like new mothers.
Yeah.
And you're like,
the stuff of nightmares that you would find in a room like that.
Yeah, you're like, what?
In a feces-covered room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then it does this cool reveal where, like, how you find out the thing knows Justin Long is there is because he's got the tape measure out, and then all of a sudden it just like starts getting pulled really fast.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa. And so he drops it, and then homegirl shows up, the witch lady, grabs him, takes him, drags him down the hall or whatever, and then throws him in the little...
No, he runs from her and goes into the trap.
Oh, yeah, he runs. That's what it is. He runs and he falls into the trap, which is like a little...
And hurts his leg.
Yeah, like trap door in the floor. Goes down into a little hole in the ground, and that's where we find the girl from before.
Yeah.
She's in there. Super
living off of milk,
dude. Disgusting. But this, after he falls in there, homegirl's like, shh, don't say a word. She's like, you need to calm down. And then it cuts to black. And then it cuts back in. We have now changed aspect ratios. We went from widescreen.
Dude, I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice the aspect? That was the first thing I noticed.
I did not notice that.
We went from widescreen to now we are letterboxed. And it is...
Bro, I did not notice
it's
that.
It's 4x3. We see the outside of the house. Everything,
cow.
the grass.
Oh wait, yeah, I did notice
Yeah.
this. I forgot that this is where they did that.
This is
scene.
where it cuts to the past.
Absolutely, I noticed this. Holy cow, this was one of the best scenes.
Yeah,
Jeez.
this was another, like, my jaw was dropped. I was like, what is going on?
Oh, dude, and this is where we looked at each other because of the camera shot. We were like, "There's no way they're about to do this." Then they did it.
When I say the camera in this moment is so good, like, it had no right. The cinematography had no right being this good throughout the whole movie, honestly.
Right.
But it is just
like, up to this point, you're like, this movie cannot get like any cooler.
Yeah.
And then it
does this like third act switch where we are now in the past, and the neighborhood is very nice and pretty. All the houses are nice. The grass is luscious. The colors are like popping. It's very like poppy colors. We are on the widest lens. This lens is like crazy wide. And we see this old dude come out of the house, and the camera just follows him out of the house. As he turns, the camera turns, and then it gets in the car with him. Like, as he gets in his car, the camera goes into the back seat with him, and he just keeps driving, whatever. What we are witnessing is the old dude who owns the house and is keeping women in the basement. That's what it is.
Yes.
He's keeping women in that dungeon.
Can I say something that's just so cool about this scene?
Yes.
And related to other scary movies and what's popular nowadays, at least that I notice in films. The whole slow burn mentality with films nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm not like a connoisseur of films, you know, like I used to be. I don't watch as many as I used to. And I just feel like I've noticed that a lot. Like, a slow burn plot is very popular nowadays.
Yes.
Where like they feed you these little nibbles until the last 5 minutes of the story, and then give you like everything you need, which that was cool like the first 2 times.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's like, now I just feel like, dude, there's no way I'm gonna watch that.
It's the movies that are trying to do it and they're not doing it successfully.
Right. Now, what's amazing about this plot line is, like, up to this point, like, they have these huge turns and these moments that lead you along and give you a little bit more information. What you kind of don't realize, at least for me as a moviegoer seeing this, I never really like process like, how did this all happen?
Yeah.
You know, and like in movies like this, you really aren't given that much information.
Exactly. Because
instead of like blasting it on you like in the last 5 minutes of the movie,
a big exposition,
it's almost a huge exposition. They're just like, here's everything you need to know right now.
Yeah.
And you haven't even seen like what happens.
Yes. So
you're just blown away.
This scene is my favorite scene in the whole movie with the old dude, because it's so, which you could boil down the whole movie to this, of like, it's so simple. It's only like a 5-minute scene, and it gives you everything you need to know to piece it all together. Like, to piece together what is going on. So like, he's at the grocery store, he's buying diapers and he's buying plastic sheets. It's where he gets the tape of like, you're a new mom, here's how you breastfeed thing. Like, he gets all these baby things, and you're like, okay. And then you see him follow a lady home, and he like disguises himself as like
it wasn't just follow a lady home. Like, he walked out of the store with the intention to go home.
Yeah, and then he
gets into his car and sees a lady across the street,
and he's like, I'm gonna follow her. And so he follows her.
And what's so scary about it is he's silent.
Oh, the whole time. And it's one camera shot, like, just of him in his car, and you just see him see the lady, and he just sits there and waits. And as she pulls off, he pulls off, and then it cuts to like outside of the house. And he puts on like a jumpsuit, like a plumber. And he's like, walks up to her house, is disguised as like an electrician or something. And he's like, hey, I'm with the maintenance people, whatever. We're just doing maintenance checks, seeing if the pipes or whatever. And she's like, yeah, sure, come on in. You see him like go upstairs, check a few things. You see him lock a window, and then it cuts.
He unlocks the window.
Oh yeah, that's what he unlocks the window.
He unlocks the window downstairs in the bathroom.
And then that's all you get.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to him back home. He like pulls up. He has a little talk with a neighbor, and the neighbor's like, this neighborhood's going to hell. We're packing up and moving. Do you think you'll be moving soon? And he's like, nah, I'm not going anywhere.
He's like, I'm not going
He said,
anywhere.
I'm never leaving, is what he says, or something like that. And
Yeah.
then he goes into his
Well,
house.
and it's not just like I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
It's like creepy.
Yeah. He's like,
Like if somebody said this to me like that, I'd be like, all right, I'm never coming.
yeah,
here
I'm like,
again.
all right, you're super creepy.
Yeah.
So then he goes into the house, and this is where you see the inside of the Airbnb, but everything's old. Like, what era do you think this is?
When it's
like,
run down.
Yeah.
Like the outside of the house is like immaculate. Looks like every other
yeah,
house.
the
Then you go
inside's like
inside.
trashy. Like there's old wallpaper
Right.
and like wood paneling, and like looks like he.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it just there's garbage
There's like a
everywhere.
serial, like a
Like a
what you would
serial,
imagine a
the
serial
house like a
killer's house
serial
looks like.
rapist would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so then he opens the door to the basement, and you hear screaming. And
Yeah.
like, help me, help me, help me. And then it shuts the door. And as the door shuts, it cuts back to present day. And it's like the same camera shot, but everything is now present day, which I was like, boom, beautiful.
Right.
And so you're like, oh, this creepy dude's been digging this little dungeon area, and he's keeping women down there. And it gave me like Don't Breathe vibes, where you're like, he's just been impregnating these innocent women.
It did to me too, but
Spoilers for Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe is definitely for another episode, but like
It's also
it's Don't Breathe in good ways.
It's what Don't Breathe could have been.
What Don't Breathe could have been.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so then we get into like the last big act of the movie, where like you find out that this witch lady isn't really even evil. She's just a super like inbred mongoloid type person, and all she wants is a baby. She just wants a baby to take care of. So she's taking these people and like treating them like babies. She like tries to breastfeed Justin Long. She and anytime that he like goes against her, she like freaks out because she thinks he's just a bad kid. All this
That's
stuff.
her thing though. Like when like a person freaks out, she kills them.
Yeah, because
out of like fear.
Out of fear, yeah.
Yeah. Like you almost like in a weird way, like you have this emotional connection with her, but at the same time you're totally freaked out.
You're totally freaked out, but you're like, she doesn't know. Like she doesn't know any better. It's not her fault she's like that. Like that's what you start piecing together.
If you saw this in real life, you would want to run away.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yes.
When I say it's like we
this,
said it reminded us of that thing from It Chapter 2 that like runs out of the darkness.
Yes.
That's what it reminded us
of. Like you hear it like running, like.
But I do want to make this clear: the big 7-foot tall witch lady is not CGI. It is a man in a latex costume. It is all practical. There's no like.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a man.
I mean, I couldn't tell. Like, I didn't see it and think CGI, but I didn't realize it was practical effects.
Yeah, no, it's a dude in a latex costume, which is awesome.
Wow.
Because it looks great. It looks fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, and then the movie goes on. Some other crazy stuff happens with this woman, but then the main girl gets out with the help of the homeless dude from before. Yeah. And the homeless dude gives a little snippet of dialogue that kind of shakes you to your core a little bit, where he's like, "I'm surprised you got out of there," and he's like, "What was it?" She's like, "There's someone else down there. We got to help him." She's like, that thing has him. No,
she didn't say that. She said there's someone else down there. Justin Long is down there.
Yeah, she's like, Justin.
We've got to go back down to get Justin.
We got to go back down to get Justin Long.
You don't know about the other guy.
Yeah, and so he said
there. Yeah, the homeless guy said there's more than one down there, and it comes out at night.
Yeah, he's like, there's something even worse down there. Or he said she's not even the worst thing down there, or something like that. And we were like,
that's it.
We were like, no. Yeah. So then we cut to Justin Long's character, and he's trying to escape. He's got like a flashlight and a knife or something. I don't remember what it is. And that's where he gets to the end of the hall where you see the bell on the wall, and there's a string that's like going down. It's attached to the wall going down the hall, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna follow this." So he follows it, and then that's where you find another door, and then this leads to the scariest shot in the movie, in my opinion. This has been burned into my brain.
Really?
Yes, this is This was pulled from my nightmares. This shot specifically. He's got the flashlight. It goes full like widescreen, like wide angle lens of like his POV, like looking down the hall. And it's just darkness, and then
Oh,
she
I know what scene you're talking
she
about.
walks into his light, and she's just very faint, way off in the distance, and she stops,
Yeah.
and she like cowers and shakes her head no, and turns around and walks the other way.
Oh yeah, dude. And then yes,
Dog.
100% so
Dog.
scary.
I was like,
Yeah.
do not go in that
Oh,
room.
yeah. Yeah.
I was like, do not go in there. But what does he do? He goes into the room because he's stupid and he's Justin Long and he's dumb, and he goes into the room. And this is where you find out that the old dude is still alive and he has been living down there.
Yeah.
He's like set up.
And all he watches are the videotapes
Yeah.
from that room in the beginning.
Yeah, he just watches those. He's a
It's legitimately like, yeah. There's like a trucking shot of his whole collection of tapes, and literally the sides of the tapes are labeled like pharmacy girl,
yeah, grocery store
redheaded
lady,
girl,
redhead,
grocery store lady.
yeah,
and it's just like
it's disgusting.
Oh my God.
And he's like
Yeah.
old, and he's just like sitting in his own piss,
Filth.
and like he's just like
Yeah.
disgusting. And
He's just a nasty man.
yeah. So Justin Long
Yeah.
originally is like, oh, dude, another human. Like,
Yeah,
we
he hadn't
got-
seen the tapes
we're
yet.
gonna get you out of here,
Yeah.
whatever. And then he finds the tapes, and then he realizes that this guy's a scumbag, which is ironic because, you know, Justin Long himself is a scumbag.
Is a scumbag.
His character's a scumbag,
Yeah.
and so
Right.
so he tells this dude, he's like, nah, dude. He's like, when I get out of here, I'm calling the cops.
Well,
like,
now here's the thing though about his character. Even up until this point, like you realize this guy's a total dick.
yeah,
But the way that they tell his story in this moment, he has this heartfelt connection that he thinks this guy's a prisoner too.
Yeah.
And he wants to help him. So you're like you
Oh,
almost feel
okay.
for him.
Like,
I did,
all right.
definitely.
He's
Because
really
it's like
wanna
this
be a
dude has a
good
good
guy.
side to his soul.
Yeah.
Like he does want to help someone. And then
yeah. Then he flips because he sees the tapes, and
yeah.
he tells him like, I'm gonna have cops swarm in this place, whatever. Old dude doesn't like this, so he grabs a gun, and you think he's gonna shoot Justin Long, but no, he shoots himself.
Right. See, and that was a huge hard turn for me.
Yeah, same for me.
Huge hard turn. Because you think this guy is just gonna kill him.
Yeah, and it was
But
a shock for me
it
too,
almost-
because I was like, now is why he like the only thing that
Right.
was gonna kill him was the idea of getting caught. That was the only thing that would put a bullet in his head.
Well, what's so amazing about that storytelling too is the man never says a word. Never says one word. And you would think that in any other story where like they try and set up this moment for a bad guy to off themselves,
Mhm.
they're gonna have this like
Big exposition.
he's got to have this like deep connection.
It also
you
would be
know?
in any normal horror movie. This would be the scene where the old guy explains, "I used to pick up women. And I used to
Exactly.
do whatever."
Exactly. But visually, they tell the story,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. Another reason why it's like you're on the same journey that the character is
Yes.
with Justin Long.
Exactly.
And once he realizes this, he's freaking out. The dude's holding the gun, and it looks like he's about to point it at Justin Long. Then he points it to himself, and as a viewer, you're just like, holy crap,
Yeah.
dude. Like, geez, this
Yeah.
movie just keeps,
It keeps turning.
throwing you left hooks, man. This is nuts.
Yeah. So old
Yeah.
man shoots himself, and now Justin Long has a gun. So Justin Long
Yeah.
takes the gun, and he's trying to get out of there. If I remember correctly, yes. So at the same time that he's got the gun, main girl goes back down there because she's like, I gotta find Justin Long and I gotta get him out of there. So she's looking for Justin Long.
Yeah.
He's just looking for a way out. He's got a gun in case the witch lady comes back. Well, then lo and behold, he accidentally shoots homegirl. He shoots like the main girl in the stomach, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And so I thought she was just gonna die right there. I thought that was like gonna be another big twist. I wouldn't put it past the movie to do that. That probably was in
Totally.
like an original draft of the script, and they're like, "Well, we can't do that."
Absolutely. And again, just to say something about Justin Long's character, like up until that point, you're like, holy crap, dude. Like this guy's had this, like he's been through the ringer. You realize he's a douchebag. Maybe at this point, since he's been through a life altering situation, maybe he can turn a new leaf.
Yeah.
You know, and like they can get out of this together and You know, everything's gonna be all right.
Well, yeah, you do. Yeah, you think that for a while, and then they go
Yeah.
outside. Like he picks her up, and he's like, "We gotta get. I'm so sorry. We'll get you out of here."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Okay,
Right.
maybe he's finally realizing that like he needs to clean up his life a
Exactly.
little bit."
Right.
And so
Try and get that second chance
yeah,
going on. Everyone deserves a
everyone
second
deserves a
chance.
second chance. So they run outside. Oh, we also forgot to mention at this point, the way she went down there, while Justin Long was in the room with the old dude, the witch lady came outside, and the main girl hit her with her car and pinned her to the house and like killed her.
Yes.
Killed her.
And when they come out of the house,
And then when
it's
they come out of the
gone.
house, the old witch lady's gone. So they just take off running. And I mentioned this specifically to you. I have had legit nightmares where I'm in the street of an abandoned neighborhood, just like being chased by something, and you just have to run, and there's no one there to help you, and you're just running in these dark abandoned streets, and it's just like pulled straight from a nightmare, and it's done so well. And so they're running, and then homeless guy is there to help again. Now this is where the movie for me started taking a downturn a little bit. It started getting a little schlocky for me.
This is where it gets into more comedic.
Yes.
Like my type of scary
Over
movie.
the top a little bit.
Over the top. Yeah. Like over the top storytelling. Like everything up to this point is very educated, very cinematic. There's pieces of like
this felt like we have to end it this way so a
here and
studio
there.
will pick it up. Like this.
I don't know about that. That's a little bit hard. That's a little bit hard.
Yeah, I guess to some degree. There was just some things that they do where I was like, oh, granted, I don't know how I would have ended it. Like I don't.
Right.
So
I mean, I guess like what I think is like up until that point, like they have bits and pieces from, like we said, like every piece and type of horror film, and like, and you can't combine all of those into an ending. So like you might be able to, you know, but like in my mind, I think that like you got to choose one, you know, and then go from there. And I mean, they chose the one that's like my cup of tea, but even then, like I can definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know,
we'll just get into it. So they take off running. The homeless guy is there to help him. He's like, you can hide with me in here. I think it's like an old church. Is that what it is? Or it's like an old abandoned house or something.
Like
I don't know.
It's like an old grain silo or something like that. Cause there's like
metal sheeting, whatever. Anyways. So he takes him in there and they're just hiding out. And he's like, he knows everything about that house. He's like, I know about the old man. I know about that witch lady. Yeah. They're like, what is that thing? He's like, that's what happens when like babies make babies with babies. He's like, that's what happens. Yeah. And, he's like, I've been here for however many years and it's never come into this. He's like, and she's like, are we safe here? And he's like, well, I've been here for however many years and it's never found me in here. And right as he says that, it like bursts through the wall and like Kool-Aid Man.
Which is
it
is legit like the Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah, she comes
right
through the wall.
Him. Same shot.
And then she grabs him and rips his arm off and beats him to death with it.
Yes, dude.
I was like, whoa.
So awesome.
And
so crazy.
So they take off running and they get to the big grain silo thing that you were talking about. It's like got a big spiral staircase. Well, Justin Long takes off up the thing, and she's still got a bullet in her stomach. So she's like, okay, thanks, butthole. Thanks for leaving me here. So she's climbing up as fast as she can. The thing takes off after them, and it's like right on her tail. Justin Long has the gun, and he drops it.
Dude, when he drops it, like... Thinking about it now, it's almost like a and
the gun falls off. I heard the bankrupt sound from Wheel of Fortune, like the and so she gets up there and she's like crawling towards him, and then the big witch lady gets up there, and Justin Long grabs the girl, and you think he's about to like help her up, but he's like
to face it together.
He's like, I'm gonna need you to slow this thing down, and he throws homegirl off the silo.
See, and this is the 180 again.
Yeah,
like up until this point, like you think this guy, like maybe he's turned over a new leaf.
Nah,
total scumbag.
Still a douche. Still a doucher.
Still a doucher.
So he throws her, And then we get a shot that like I get is supposed to be dramatic and like whatever, but to me it was really funny looking. Like it made me chuckle because the witch lady dives for her, like to catch her. And you get this shot of this big, like naked witch woman just like diving over the side of it, just like, pew! And I was like, wasn't expecting it. But she catches the main chick and takes the blow of the fall. And you're like,
being a mom.
She's like protecting her baby. So
she got to be a mom one last time.
So Justin Long runs down there. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. He has the gun. He picks it back up. He's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, I had to throw you. Like, I had to do it to protect. Like,
it was either going to be you or me or something.
You or
like
me.
that.
And I'm so sorry. Fight or flight kicked in. And she's still hurt. And she's like, oh, whatever. And so he helps her up. And as he does so, witch lady wakes up and she's like, oh, and she's mad because he just threw her baby over the railing. And so she gets up and cracks his skull open like a pomegranate.
Dude, like Event Horizon, if it was even more gross.
Yeah.
Like just
thumbs.
You see her thumbs like
just
turn his eyeballs.
Just juice in those eyeballs.
Jello.
Yeah.
Juice
in those eyeballs. And then just cracks them open like a fresh pommy.
Yeah.
Just seeds and all.
Yes, dude.
And you're just like, oh. So then she gets down to help the main girl. And she's like, she keeps saying, I think she's trying to say like baby. She's like, baby, baby.
Yeah.
Baby.
She's like, I know you're hurt. It's almost like
you
can see that the mom like knows that she's hurting.
Yeah. She's like,
she can't take care of that.
Yeah. So she's just like sitting there like,
which is so crazy that you're having this emotional moment with the villain,
it's insane. You know? It made me like, I was like, oh, it's like kind of sweet. Like she just wants to protect it.
Dude.
But main girl's like, you have to die. Like,
yeah, I'm sorry. Like legitimately, she's like, I'm sorry, and puts the gun to her head.
She's like, I'm sorry, I have to do this.
Like cinematically, you do have this like moment where you're just like, this is the way.
This is how it has to happen,
dude. And it's like this is the main heroine and the total villain.
Yeah,
and you're
sympathizing
up in the plot
with both
to this
of them.
moment where you're sympathizing for the both of them.
Yeah, and
what a great movie, dude.
So then. Yeah, she shoots it. She shoots the witch lady, cuts to black, movie ends. Now, I don't know how the theater we were in timed this so well, but as soon as the gunshot went off and it cut to black, all the lights in the theater turned on. They didn't fade up. They turned on. I thought I got shot. It went bang, and all the lights kicked on. And it made me jump. And then, you get like a little, while the credits are going, you see the main girl get up and run out of there. And so you know she makes it out okay.
Right.
But, dude, great movie.
Fantastic.
Such a good movie.
It's a solid.
And I'm sure it'll, like,
8 out of 10.
The reason I, like I said, there was some stuff about the ending I didn't care for. It got a little like schlocky for me. But another thing is I'm not sure how much rewatchability it's going to have.
Well, I think like you said, like it's the type of rewatchability where like if I had friends that didn't see it, I would buy it for the purpose of showing it.
Just to see their reactions. But as far as like, there's nothing like in the first act that you'll watch. I don't think that you would watch it a second time knowing how it ends, being like, oh, like I don't think you're gonna pick up on more things other than maybe like
it's not that type of story.
Yeah, there's no like puzzle aspect to it.
Right.
It's very straightforward, but it gives you
just it's like a really well told story that is very
it gives you all the information you need at the perfect times, and it's the perfect amount of information. And you are able to pay. It does not. It doesn't
with no fluff.
Here's what it is. There's no fluff, and also it doesn't like what most horror movies do. It does not treat its audience like idiots.
Exactly.
It lets us figure it out. You know, have you
Yeah.
seen? I'm gonna sit here and dog on it for a second. Have you seen The Black Phone with
No,
Ethan
I wanted
Hawke?
to. I really wanted to
Ethan
because I
Hawke.
thought it looked really good.
Ethan Hawke does a great job. Ethan Hawke's character
Yeah.
is awesome. The rest of the movie sucks because it spoon feeds you everything that happens in that movie. It is
Oh, jeez.
it does not let you think during that movie. It like just gives
Yeah.
it to you.
Yeah.
And it like even down to
That
the twist,
sucks.
even down to the twist in the movie, it like happens and I was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that." And then as I'm thinking that, someone says what the twist is. Like they straight up are just like, "This is this and this was this." And I was like,
Come on.
"Okay, obviously."
man.
Like
That's lame.
yeah, it
Yeah, I really wanted to see that because the promotional, like the marketing for that movie is really well done.
I would say if
And
you can find
I remember.
it's streaming on like Peacock or something, I would say stream it for like
Okay.
whatever. I wouldn't go out of your way to like
Yeah.
buy it or anything.
Yeah. I just remember hearing that it was like a spiritual successor to Sinister.
I
Like,
guess
I think it was like
stylistically,
the writer. It was the same writer.
same director,
right?
same writer,
Same
and
director.
Scott
That's
Derrickson.
what it was. Okay. Yeah.
They're stylistically they're very similar, with like the
Okay.
old film look and everything. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. If you watch it, well, this episode isn't about the Black Phone, but if you see it, let me know and we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll do an episode about it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we went way longer than I was expecting, but I think it
Huh,
was worth
that's
it
all
because
right.
I think
Totally.
everyone who likes horror movies should see this movie.
Yeah.
And I
Agree.
see
Full
it
stop.
I see it being on like people's like top 10 horror movies of the 2020s or whatever. Like I see it being on a lot of
I could see of the 2020s for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, like a top 10 of the 2020s, not of all time.
yeah,
but
maybe not of all time,
yeah.
but 2020s for sure, or at least like this, you know.
I would arguably say it's probably one of the best scary movies I've seen in probably 10 years.
Yeah.
Like I would say it's
Yeah.
like a top 5 in the last 10
Oh
years.
yeah, for sure. Because even like if we're just gonna talk horror movies, like even for me, like The Conjuring's one of the best because it like took
Yeah.
that concept and kind of spun it on its head a bit and made it like
Yeah.
something new. But then
Right.
everything
Now,
everything
it goes
followed.
without saying, we can't do everything in the Conjuring universe like that.
Yeah,
But
no.
the very first one, 100%.
But it spawned
yes,
a
that movie's
new
awesome.
way to make those type of movies that now every horror movie follows that formula.
Totally.
And
Well, 100%.
and it's
Yeah, the Conjuring took like 70s and 80s style horror movie, and like remade it.
Yeah.
With some new age twists.
Exactly.
And it was awesome.
very well
Yeah.
done. And I think this movie will have a lot of inspiration on horror movies to come, and I hope it does. Like I hope this movie is successful enough to where studios look at it and realize that we don't just need spoon-fed jump scares, and that
Right.
people really like to think during these movies.
Yeah. Like I thought it was like a breath of fresh air.
Oh,
I
100%.
feel like ever since Hereditary, Midsummer, Ari Aster style storytelling, you have these like super cinematic storytelling horror movies that are all very similar.
Yeah.
Then you have the total opposite, where it's like my style of horror, comical,
Yeah.
ridiculous, never watch it again after the first time style horror movies. And you have to choose between the two.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere in the middle where it's a happy medium, where it's a fantastic movie that kind of blends all these different ideas into a really, really well told story. There's just not a whole lot to choose from.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think this one has the ideas and the concepts of like a big Ari Aster type horror movie, but the simplicity
Yeah.
of a lower budget like Blumhouse horror movie.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, this is a good medium.
Yeah. And just for like, clarity on my horror movie history, which but like, it's not like I'm on Shudder every single day watching scary movies. I'm not like that.
No.
But I do like going to the theater to see a good scary movie.
Dude, I'll
and I
never
have
forget
seen
one of
quite a few of them.
my favorite theater going moments was when we went and saw one of the Annabelle movies or something.
Oh, dude,
and-
Annabelle Comes Home. The sheet scene.
And
dude, that movie got me good in the theater with you guys.
When
man.
something pops out, you jumped and audibly screamed, "Oh my god!" And like, I think you threw popcorn, like that meme of like someone jumping, throwing popcorn. Like it legit was, and I was dying laughing because it took me by such surprise. Like you scared me more than the jump scare did.
I'm there for a good time with scary movies, man. Yeah.
Well, Sean, it was great having you on. We'll have to have you on again and talk about something else. Any recommendations? Any Ender's?
Watch Itaewon Class.
Ender's Game.
Oh yeah. No, we still need to talk about Ender's Game, dude.
We'll do it.
I need to rewatch that. I haven't seen that movie since like it came out.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it, and you dog on me saying it's a terrible movie.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have today.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah. No problem, man.
Bye.